Hello everyone, I hope you are doing great. Today we are joined by Christian Taylor, who is an entrepreneur, drummer, and creator of the YouTube channel CrailerMade, where he makes video tutorials on how to create websites, getting online, and building your brand. Today alongside with him, we are going to discuss a very important topic in WordPress, which is where to find and how to select the perfect theme for your business. Enjoy the video and don't forget to subscribe.
This video was brought to you by TenWeb, an automated WordPress platform designed for agencies. Automate hosting, speed optimization, migration, site building and management, and skyrocket your agency growth. Sign up for a 14-day free trial and experience true automation.
Hey Christian, thank you so much for accepting our invitation.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I was really glad that you reached out and I'm excited to be here.
So before going to the main topic of our discussion and talking about WordPress themes, I would like to ask you to tell us a bit more about your personal history with WordPress. I know that you started your first business when you were 13. And what was it, first of all, and did you use WordPress back then?
Yeah, so my first business was actually selling Minecraft servers, or renting them, I guess. Kind of like web hosting, but for Minecraft servers. And I was just renting dedicated servers from a host and, had the software on there to kind of split the server up into different Minecraft servers for people. And I mostly started out using static HTML templates. So I would just kind of edit the HTML myself and have it on a web hosting account. But I did start messing around with WordPress around that time. And that's definitely what got me interested, was just looking for a better website builder rather than having to edit all the code, the HTML code by hand.
Okay, and can you also tell us what was the very first website you built with WordPress?
So I believe, if I remember correctly, my first WordPress website was for my own personal Minecraft server I had. I was trying to promote it, and I maybe had some sort of donation plugin on there. That was a big thing back in the day on Minecraft, where people could donate to get perks in the game. And I may have had a blog or an events page, I think, certain, upcoming events on the server that you can join. But from what I remember, that was my first WordPress site.
Okay, perfect. I really love when people make their passions or something they like it, and they make it into business. So it was great to hear your story.
Yeah, definitely. It's been a journey for sure.
So when I was building my very first WordPress website, and it was actually a gaming website as well. It was for posting news about esports. So I was very, very confused. I had no idea how to select the theme for my website. Should I think about what's more important for me right now, or should I look into the future and find a theme that will incorporate all of those features I might need in future? So should I pay for it or no? So can you guide us through the whole process, and what are some criteria when selecting WordPress themes?
Yeah, definitely. So first we'll kind of touch on the paid themes, and we'll get into paid versus free in a minute. But if you are looking at a paid theme, I first like to tell people, what's the developer reputation? If you're looking at a theme, say on ThemeForest, does the developer have good reviews? Do they have a lot of sales on that theme? What are the comments saying? Maybe you can look on YouTube or Google and search for the theme and see if anyone's got any independent reviews. Because there's a lot of paid and free themes out there that are just very low quality code and a low quality backend. And you're going to be frustrated if you don't really look into the developer's reputation and make sure that they make high quality stuff. So that would be the first one. The second thing would be, what page builder does it use, and knowing if there's one you prefer, such as WP Bakery or Elementor. Sometimes themes will support both, but oftentimes I find that they include one or the other. So if you tend to prefer Elementor or WP Bakery, I think it's good to find a theme that fits that page builder you're used to. Because I find that I prefer WP Bakery. And so when I look for a theme, that's typically a requirement is I want it to include that, support that, so I can feel at home with the editing side of it. And there, there's a lot of factors I've got here. How does the theme scale on mobile? I think a lot of us will look on desktop and say, oh, this theme demo looks awesome. And 90% of the time they look awesome on mobile too. But that's definitely a factor in our mobile first internet to make sure you pull out your phone, load the demo there, see how does this scale? Does this look good? Does anything look funky when it's squished down to a phone screen? That's important. How do you like the demo options available? Sometimes I will buy a theme when I don't love the demo options because I can see the bigger picture of, okay, I like the buttons, I like the styling, I just don't like how they have these demo pages arranged. And you can certainly do that if you're comfortable with WordPress, but I think for a lot of us, we're looking for, can I just import one of the demo sites as a base and just edit it from there? I think that's what a lot of WordPress builders do, including myself in some scenarios. So, click through the different demo pages. A lot of themes will have multiple different demos, almost like different sets of websites that you can import. See if there's one that stands out to you. Another factor would be, how long is the customer support valid? On ThemeForest, by default, that would be 6 months. And then you have the option to extend it, or, if you're buying it from an independent site or somewhere else. It's important to know, do I have to renew my support? Is it valid for the lifetime of the theme? Is there any customer support? That's certainly a factor. And the last one I have here is, what is the support like for essential plugins for your needs? So if you're doing an e-commerce store, you're probably using WooCommerce. Does the theme support WooCommerce? Is it optimized for it? If you don't care about WooCommerce, that's fine. You don't have to worry about that, but definitely know, if you're using like bbPress, the forum plugin, how does the theme run on that? So I know there's a lot there, but those are some of the important factors I've got for choosing a paid WordPress theme.
Perfect. Thank you for those points. And you actually mentioned customer support, and I wanted to touch up to this point as well. So I've also seen that some websites that sell themes do not have customer support included. So would you recommend everyone to absolutely get at least the minimum packages for customer support?
Yeah, so I would say generally I would just pick a different theme that's got support included. I mean, you'll have to gauge, how much do you like this theme? What does it cost? Does it make sense to you? But generally speaking, I kind of would expect that a paid theme I purchase would have some sort of support included. So, I guess if you're in that scenario and you're like, this is definitely the theme I'm going to buy, should I buy support or not? I would probably hold off and just buy support later if you can. If it's something where you have to buy it upfront with the theme, then maybe, I guess you kind of know where you're at with WordPress and your skill level. Sometimes even the most skilled WordPress developers could use some support from the theme developer because there's something that just doesn't make sense or is a little unconventional, and the theme developer knows their theme inside and out. But man, that's a hard question. I think it's really just a case by case basis.
Got it. So yeah, it depends basically on yourself and your WordPress knowledge. Actually, when you were telling this, another thing came to my mind, and I've seen recently that many WordPress theme developers have also Discord servers, which, if you guys listening us there don't know, is a platform or an application for creating communities. And some theme developers have WordPress servers where you can go and ask questions to other people who have bought the same theme. And there have been a couple of times when it was much faster than waiting for the customer support from the developers themselves.
Yeah, oh, totally. And, another factor I like to point out is if you're really picking your theme based on developer reputation and a credible theme that a lot of users are using, then there's probably some sort of community or forum site out there that you can go to and talk to other users of that theme. And that's similar to the Discord server, like you mentioned. I'm a big proponent of finding a theme that's got support, it's got people backing it. It's not just some random theme you found on Google, but it's like I guess you could call it like a super theme. Examples of this would be like Divi, Aveda. There's several other ones on ThemeForest, but big credible themes that have been out there for many years. They've got a lot of sales and a lot of people using it. I think that's going to go hand in hand with the customer support experience you get.
Okay, got it. So, and just to clarify again, you are recommending to pay for premium themes, right? Instead of getting the free ones.
Generally, yes. So what I find is if you're doing a blog, don't overlook the free included WordPress themes. This would be like 2021, 2020, all those themes that come with WordPress. I like those because they're official, they're vetted by the WordPress team, they're high quality, they're not super advanced, and they're not super flashy. So I would not use that if you're trying to do a corporate landing page or a sales page or like, hey, this is my local business. I'd probably shy away from that and get a premium theme. But if you are just doing a blog and you're starting with a low budget, then I would not overlook those free themes. I think they're actually pretty nice for blogs that are starting out. And the other thing would be e-commerce. If you're using WooCommerce, I tend to favor their storefront theme, which is free as a base. They do have like styling packs for that you can pay for and kind of change up the look. But I like storefront because it's free. And once again, it's an official theme. So it's going to work with WooCommerce. It's going to update with all the WooCommerce updates and not get broken. And I get nervous about third-party themes in WooCommerce sometimes because you never know if you update the WooCommerce plugin, is it going to take out your store and all of a sudden things are broken? So it's honestly very nice that those are two options that are totally free and they're kind of endorsed by WordPress. But yeah, for anything else, if you're like a corporation or local business, or, you're doing like a portfolio or like a personal, almost like a resume type about me website, generally, I would say it's worth it to buy a premium theme. And one thing to look out for is there's a lot of freemium themes out there, meaning they have a free version, but they also have a pro version. I typically recommend staying away from those because I find that you start building your site on the free theme, but there's all these limitations and you just end up getting frustrated and give in and buy the pro upgrade. It's kind of like they plan for you to do that all along. And usually the pro versions of those themes end up costing more than just buying a paid theme to begin with. So I would definitely be cautious about other free themes out there that aren't the official WordPress ones.
Okay, this is actually, all of those are great things to know when selecting the theme. And I'm sure everyone who just heard you will be more aware of freemium themes. So you also mentioned 3 different categories, actually. So you mentioned e-commerce. You also talked about blogs and, for example, that people can use free themes for blogs. And also you said that for corporate or for like flashy landing pages, people can get themes. So we have 3 categories here: e-commerce, blogs, and landing pages. Are there any differences for like selecting themes or like, I don't know, in case of e-commerce, I should put more attention to these features, and in case of landing page, I should put more attention to the other one? So how would you recommend people to look into that depending on their business?
Yeah, so if you're doing a landing page, I would say the page builder and the demo content is super important because you're going to be doing a lot of drag and drop, arranging your hero section, and maybe you've got like a section with some icons and text and animation. So I would say that is very important for landing pages. It goes back to what I said earlier. Do you prefer WP Bakery? Do you prefer Elementor? If you don't know, that's okay. You can do some exploring and experiment with different page builders and options. But if you know what you want, make sure you pay close attention to that and really vision the site. Look through the demos and say, can I see my company logo here? Can I see this being my landing page? And a caveat to that is theme developers tend to kind of stuff their demos full of like every possible thing the theme could do and every animation. So sometimes the demos can be a little overwhelming, a little bit busy because they're trying to fit in every single thing that it could do. But definitely pay attention to that for a landing page. Make sure that it's something that would work. If you're doing a blog, I don't want to say that the page builder is not important because it could be useful if you're doing an about page or a contact page, but I tend to think it's less important. So, if you've got a blog and maybe you prefer WP Bakery, but there's an Elementor theme that you really love and you think it's perfect for your blog, you like the styling, maybe it's okay to do that because you're mainly going to be creating blog posts, which is kind of the standard WordPress Gutenberg UI that everyone knows and loves. And you're going to be messing with the actual pages a lot less. And for e-commerce, I would say it's all about finding support for WooCommerce. Again, I'm a little bit weary of third-party themes for WooCommerce, but I know a lot of people use them and they love them. So just make sure it supports WooCommerce, make sure it's a credible theme developer. You really got to make sure that they're going to update the theme in a timely manner with WooCommerce, because sometimes if you've used WooCommerce, when they put out an update to WooCommerce, they'll say something about like, hey, the theme doesn't support it yet, or make sure that this theme supports the update. So I would say those are the different things to pay attention to in each category.
Okay, perfect. Thanks for clarifying everything for each of those categories. And what are the best sources for finding those themes?
So there's 3 that I personally like, and that would be WordPress.org for free themes. Again, you got to be careful with the free themes, but it is a good place to look and see what some of the free themes are. And they may even have paid themes. I'm not too sure on that, but that's always a place you can start. I personally really like ThemeForest for paid themes. There's also Elegant Themes. They are the developers behind Divi. I think that's really their only WordPress theme at this point, but it's sold directly on their website, which is Elegant Themes. It's not sold on ThemeForest or any other marketplace. But those would be the 3 for me: WordPress.org, ThemeForest, Elegant Themes. There may be some other great marketplaces out there. Those are just the 3 that I've known and have stuck to over the years.
So another important aspect of websites is the speed. So we are browsing through all those 3 sources that you mentioned. We saw a theme that we liked. So what are the best ways of understanding whether this website has good speed or it will like drop our SEO rankings or just affect negatively the overall experience for our website visitors?
Yeah, so this is a tough one. You know, I mean, there's tools out there like the Google Page Speed Insight that you can run on the demo. So that will tell you stuff like the test time on the first meaningful paint. It's like a term for how fast does the content load for the user to read. So Google's got all sorts of algorithms and tests behind it. But you can try the Page Speed Insight tool from Google. Just put in the demo theme URL that the developer has listed. see what score it gives. And there's other tools out there. If you Google just free online tools where you can paste the demo site and it'll check it. But, there's a lot of factors to it that both the theme developer and you could potentially skew which way those results go. I've got here the hosting and the caching that you're using. That can make a big difference on that score. Whether the code is minified, whether your images are optimized and compressed. And those are all things that the theme developer may or may not be doing, or things that you may or may not be doing. So I've had cases where, I check a theme's score on Page Insight and I'm like, oh, this is speedy. This is great. Then once I get it set up on my site, it's a lot slower. And it's like, well, I don't know how the theme developer did their optimization. How did they compress their images down? What sort of caching plugin are they using? So, there's other things you can do, like the non-scientific real world test of just loading the demo and saying, does this feel slow? Does this compare with Facebook and Twitter? Which probably not, because they've got a ton of money into optimization and stuff. But that's a really, really complex question with a lot of caveats to it. I mean, I do think it's smart to check it against page speed insights. Absolutely. I do that when I'm looking for a theme, but I don't think it's the whole story. And I think that it really could go either way. There's cases where you could improve that score on your own from the demo by doing your own optimizations, or there's cases that the developer may have such great optimizations that you don't know exactly what they were doing and you kind of struggle to meet that score on your own website.
The advice of checking the demo or using Google PageSpeed Score is it's a life hack. I think for example, I never thought of doing that. And from now on, I will definitely do it. And I absolutely agree with you that hosting, for example, is also very, very important for the website speed, and just themes cannot help, or a perfectly optimized theme can run very, very poorly on a bad hosting. So I would also like to talk to you about plugins and how they work with themes. Do you have any bad experiences where, for example, you have installed a plugin on your website and it completely ruined your website and all your previous work?
I definitely have. So I had a theme where the blog page, well, I guess this is kind of your question in reverse, but the blog post page would not work unless you had WooCommerce installed, which I thought was super strange. I was not interested in making my website a store. I didn't want WooCommerce. I found that it was slowing the whole site down. If your store is e-commerce and you need WooCommerce, that's perfectly fine. But I didn't need WooCommerce slowing my site down when I'm not going to use it. But the whole theme would break if WooCommerce wasn't installed, or the blog post page would. So that was very strange. And I'm trying to think of other instances. I don't know that I've ever installed a plugin and had it break a theme. It's certainly possible. I have seen cases of it happening to people. I don't know that that's ever happened to me. I have had instances where third-party plugins end up causing a security hole in the site and it gets hacked, but that's not really related to the theme. That's more kind of an issue with the plugin itself. But yeah, you do definitely have to be careful with the plugins you choose to use with your site.
Yeah, and always do backups before doing any significant changes, just in case.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of automatic daily backups or weekly backups, just something where you don't have to remember every time you edit it to go and make a backup first, because I don't remember. I just lean on automatic backups, and if something gets messed up, I just go click restore, get the midnight backup, and I'm back where I started.
Yeah, I agree with you. And that's actually one of very important features that we have at the 10web to help our clients never to lose anything. We also always automatically back up their website. depending on their preference, like their schedules. And so WordPress is developing, and it's developing quite quickly, and so are themes. What do you think will be the industry of themes going into 2021?
Oh man, I love this question. So I think in 2021 and beyond, we're going to see a lot more block-based themes. So these would be themes that work with Gutenberg natively and the new full site editing that's coming to WordPress. That's kind of been in beta-ish for about the past year or so. And that's going to be where you can actually use blocks. So kind of like there's blocks in Gutenberg, you'll be able to use that on things like the header, the footer, the sidebar, and have an entirely new way to edit your WordPress website. So I think in 2021, we're going to see more WordPress themes come out that are steering towards a Gutenberg and block-based editor, where it's going to start to use the new included WordPress editor and start to phase out the third-party page builders. I certainly don't think they're dead. You know, if you like WP Bakery or Elementor or Divi, they've got their own page builder. I don't think those are dead. I think they're going to be around for many years to come. And I think there's going to be pros and cons to each solution. But I do think we're going to see more theme developers embracing the built-in page builder, which would be Gutenberg for now or whatever it becomes in the future, and the whole block system of WordPress, and maybe getting away from some of those third-party page builders, which I am really excited about, because I think that the next big phase of WordPress is going to be creating a more uniform solution for everyone. So WordPress is just WordPress, and people know, hey, I can buy this theme. It's going to be edited the same exact way that this other theme is going to be edited, and that's using the default WordPress tools. Maybe we can kind of get away from all the third-party plugins that add on and add on and add on to WordPress and change the panel. And sometimes it can be confusing, you know, just being like, wait, well, in this theme, I do this to edit the header, and in this theme, I have to go here, which is different. So I really hope that we see more consistency in WordPress in 2021.
So yeah, as you know, we have recently launched our AI builder, which helps companies to recreate websites and create themes out of different websites, which then can later be edited using 10-Web Editor that is based on Elementor. So what do you think about this approach and like overall the use of AI going into the future?
Yeah, so I think it's pretty neat. I did have a chance to mess around with the AI builder and kind of see how it would clone another website. I think it's kind of fun to be able to use a website for inspiration and then edit it and make it your own from there. So I really like that. And, you know, I think that AI will be used in the future to help people create more basic websites. Wix has already done this with Wix Addy. You can kind of go on there and say, here's my business name, here's my color scheme, and they'll assemble like different sites that you could pick from as a base. I certainly don't think that AI is going to replace the need for a designer. You know, if you really, really want a unique, great looking, in-depth website, I think there's no substitute for a human who's, you know, they've got the graphic eye and they're saying, hey, let's do this here and this here. But I do think that AI is going to give people a starting point, and it's going to be where if you want a basic blog or a basic landing page for your business in the future, you can almost just fill out a form and say, here's my business name, here's my logo. It can pull colors from your logo, and, you know, here's a little piece of text about my business. And it could suggest maybe themes to you, or maybe like within a theme, it could almost like build a page for you and say, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? And it could give you inspiration to take that and craft it into your website. So I think there's a big future for AI and web design.
You know, we absolutely agree with you. And our goal as a company is also to help developers, agencies, freelancers, everyone to just make their work quicker. And it's not going to replace people in any ways. It's just AI is definitely going to help all of those people with website building.
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree.
And actually, to end this interview, I've prepared some Blitz questions that I would love to ask you. Just tell me when you are ready.
All right, let's go for it.
Okay. Do you prefer working on a hardware or software business?
I'd say software. And that would be because software is always moving, there's new exciting stuff. And since I do YouTube, I love talking about software more than hardware because it's easier to produce that content. It's just, you don't have to take the B-roll shots of the physical hardware and get the lighting just right for that. So I definitely prefer software businesses.
What is more important for you when learning a new skill, theory or practice?
Practice for sure, 100%. I think that theory is great and there's a lot of value in knowing it, but at the end of the day, you have to figure out what works for you when you're doing the skill. And I'm kind of a big proponent of just jump in and try it and learn as you go.
So you are one of those people who skips tutorials in the beginning.
Yeah, for sure. I absolutely do.
So do you prefer watching videos or listening to podcasts?
Oh, man. I like both for different reasons. If I had to pick, watching videos. I'm definitely a visual learner. Again, that's another reason I love doing YouTube because that's how I connect best with content. But podcasts are nice for driving though, or, at night when I'm falling asleep, I definitely listen to podcasts, which is kind of funny because I fall asleep halfway through and miss it. But that's kind of the point when I'm listening to it at night. But yeah, video for sure.
And what is more interesting for you to do, creating websites or working on marketing/branding?
Ooh. I would say working on marketing and branding because there's a lot of that kind of built into creating a website. So if we can kind of separate and be like, creating the website is the technical side of dragging the elements on the page and working on the different sections, and marketing would be more, hey, what's the logo going on that page? What is the page going to say that's going to speak to the potential customer? And what are we going to do for this ad campaign? What is this magazine slot going to look like? I definitely prefer working on the branding and the marketing side of things.
And the last question, who do you think is a better drummer, John Bonham or anyone else?
Oh, man. Oh, that's a blindsided question. I don't know much about John. I feel like I'm totally embarrassing myself here, but because if I pick a side, there's going to be people that are like, about either side. But just because I don't really know his drumming style, which I may get flamed for in the comments, that's fine. I give you permission to do that. But I would say anyone else, simply because I'm not familiar with him. But you guys can roast me in the comments. It's totally fine.
Or we can just cut this question.
Either one.
Actually, John Bonham is the drummer of Led Zeppelin.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I'm not really much into classic rock or the more old school bands, so whenever people ask me questions like that, I never know what to say because I'm like, oh, I don't want to sound dumb, but if I don't acknowledge this drummer who's clearly like famous and a legend to some people, then I'm just going to get attacked for like, what? How could you not know this person? Like, I always say that I don't really love the Beatles. That's like a big friction point where people will come at me like, what? The Beatles are untouchable. But anyway.
No one's going to blame you here. And you don't have to be you don't have to know all the drummers to be a good one yourself. So this was all from me, and thank you so much for accepting the invitation, for being here, and for giving your time and sharing all this valuable knowledge with us. It was really great. I personally learned a lot. I'm sure everyone did. So thank you once again so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was a pleasure to do this interview.
Thank you. Have a nice day. Goodbye.
You too. Bye-bye.
This video was brought to you by Timeweb, an automated WordPress platform designed for agencies. Automate hosting, speed optimization, migration, site building and management, and skyrocket your agency growth. Sign up for a 14-day free trial and experience true automation.